Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets.
Man.
Sorry. All right. The Jackets, last season was the 23rd season for the franchise. This is the 24th. The franchise was established on June 25th, 1997. On March 17th of 2023, the Jackets were eliminated from playoff contention after a loss to the Anaheim Ducks. We finished dead last, 8th in the Metropolitan, and dead last, 16th in the Eastern Conference. Overall record of 25-48-9. Home record is 16-23-2. Road record of 9-25-7. Goals for 214. Goals against 330. GM Jarmo Kekalainen. Coach was Brad Larson. It's Mike
Babcock.
Babcock, yeah. Mike Babcock now. The captain was Boone Jenner.
And he still is the captain.
Cool. Alternate captains were Gustav Nyquist, Zach Werenski, who was a rotating captain from February 28th to April 14th. Arena, they play at the beloved Nationwide Arena. Their minor league affiliates are the Cleveland Monsters of the AHL and the Kalamazoo Wings of the ECHL. So the team leaders last year, goals was Boone Jenner with 26, assists with Johnny Hockey, or Johnny Gaudreau with 53. He was also the points leader on the team with 74. Penalty minutes was led by Matthew Oliver with 81. Plus and minus was Samuel Kazzo with 0. Goalie wins Jonas Corpusalo. And goals against average, well, he had 11 wins. Goals against average was Jet Greaves with 3.05. Personally, I think we shouldn't have traded Corpy to begin with, because Corpy was the best goalie we had last year. He had the most wins by a mile and a half. Because as much as I love Elvis Merce-Linkins, he only had like 5 wins last year, if I remember correctly. Granted, it seemed like Corpy was dealing with, I believe Corpy was dealing with an injury, and that's kind of why it seemed like he was crap in goal, because he was dealing with a lot outside of, the actual hockey rink. And I'm only half surprised the way that the Jackets season went last year, only because it's kind of normal the way that it went. The years that we've ever made the playoffs is kind of one of those whoa, we actually did good, and we actually have a good franchise and team. I think there's a lot of potential on this team. I think that between the moves last year that they made and the moves they made this offseason, between bringing in the new head coach and you signed Johnny Hockey last year, you still have Chinikov, and you still have Patrick Laine. That duo right there is going to be key, because that's your strong 1-2 punch. You got to have – I'm not 100% sure who they're going to have in goal this year outside of Elvis. Elvis needs to step up, have a better year than he did last year. And because you've got to have control in the net. If you look at the teams that have success in the postseason and have success throughout the season enough to actually make the playoffs, you have control in the net. You got to be a dominant force on every level. Yes, the fifth line is a cool thing. I've been a part of it many times. But the atmosphere in the arena is partial key, but you've got to have the atmosphere inside the walls. I think if this team stays healthy this year, they could definitely make a playoff push. I think it'll be another late playoff push. I was even surprised that they were in playoff contention until they weren't. I thought with the way the season was going, I mean, if you look at the monthly breakdown for the Jackets, where is it? I think it's up. If you look at the monthly breakdown for the Jackets, God, where is it? 3-7 in October, 4-5-2 in November, 4-10 in December, and 4-10-2 in January. That's your two big months right there. You need to, no worse, be 7-7 or 8-8 in those months. The longer months, the more games you have months, you've got to be at worst 500, if not better than 500. I mean, every single month under 500 except for February, and I have no idea as to why.
All-Star game.
Yeah, most likely. March was just a horrid month. So in February they went 5-3-2. In March they went 3-8-2. April 2-5-1. I just when I look at the schedule breakdown that way, it makes me sick to my stomach. But
so
what are your thoughts?
So I'll have to say, to add on to this, from what you're saying, on the surface, one would think that the Blue Jackets are one of the worst teams in the league. But when we scratch deeper into the surface, outside the fact that they were tied for the second worst team with the Chicago Blackhawks, just in front of San Jose Sharks by a single point. When we look deeper into the surface, look at all the man games lost. Look at all the injuries there. The Patrick Laine injury in the first game, and I mean the very first game of the season. And at that point, it's like, all right, that's a one-off. That's a one-off. No need to worry about that. We'll be fine. Then comes the pile of injuries coming up more and more and more as the season goes on. Mm-hmm. And then Zach Werenski in Game 13, that was the death blow. The Blue Jackets never recovered from there when Werenski went down. No matter how much that Jonas Korpisalo was doing in boosting his trade stock. And let me get this. Every single one of their players was not on the plus side of the plus minus. Out of anyone that's played at least 50 games, the one who has had the best plus minus of them was Vladislav Gavrikov at a -8. And he was involved in the trade deadline too, in that Korpisalo trade. They did not even win a single game in regulation in the months of March and April. 6-5 overtime win over San Jose March 14th. 7-6 overtime win over Washington March 21st. 5-4 over the Islanders March 24th. 4-3 against Ottawa April 2nd. And 3-2 over my Penguins on April 13th. So I'll give kudos to Jarmo Kekalainen on doubling down on defense and going after not only Ivan Provorov, but also Damon Severson to add to the defensive core. Funnily enough, Provorov was actually in the same draft class as Zach Werenski was. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many picks apart, if I need to look that up, but them being on the same team and two draft class, two players from the same draft class together, well, this makes for an interesting turn of events here. And to add Severson for more offense to the team and to get an offensive push and a power play specialist, that helps too. And not only that, but you get Adam Fantilli at the draft at 3rd overall when the Ducks decide to draft Leo Carlson 2nd overall. That can make some strides there in boosting the top 6. I can see Fantilli over with the other Michigan Wolverine, Kent Johnson, who's been a staple on that second line of Patrick Laine. Though this may force Jack Roslovic to be going down to the 3rd line in a sense, because the first line is set between Johnny Hockey, Boone Jenner, and Kirill Marchenko, in my opinion. So that sets Roslovic over to the 3rd line. Alex Texier is also coming back after a 1-year break from Columbus after he went overseas to Europe. Much improvement is going to be expected from Columbus, though they need to figure out that logjam on defense. They have at most 9 NHL caliber defensemen. Werenski, Severson, Provorov, Adam Boquist, Jake Bean, Andrew Peak, Eric Branson, Nick Blankenberg, and possibly David Jiricek. though he's expected to start his pro career with the Cleveland Monsters. The team with Johnny Hockey, Laine, a fully healthy Werenski, Kent Johnson, and Merce Weekends bouncing back to go with the new additions. Is there a team that has a bigger argument than the Columbus Blue Jackets for most improved team? I don't think so.
Personally, I don't think so. Even as a not super fan of the team. I mean, again, you look at the records each month from last year, and I'm sorry, YouTube, but it looks disgusting. It looks outrageously disgusting, and it makes me want to throw up because this team on paper is so much better than the way that it played last year. But to your point and my point, injuries derailed this team. This team could have had a lot of success. So not only are you looking at the potential of just being better, you have the potential to make the playoffs. And I still, to this day, stand by my quote after we got Chinikov and we re-signed Laine, that this team can win a cup within the next 5 years. And I think that's down to 3 or 4 now. This team can still win a cup within the next 5 years. They just have to stay healthy and pay their guys on time. And not, cause that's the other thing that irritated me, how long it took to re-sign Patrik Laine. That was ridiculous.
I can only imagine about such contract situations left and right.
It's insane. Anyway, our next team is the New Jersey